No, you're good. Thank you. You know who brought me here was Claudia. Okay.
You're the star.
Hello, everyone. My name is Cesar Garcia. I'm the owner of Hanzo Sushi and Papa Juan's Baja Grill. I want to welcome all of you to the beautiful city of San Fernando. I want to give a special welcome to our Governor Newsom for being here today. It's a blessing to be standing here and open for business. Thanks to the PPP loans, I've been open 7 days a week. I've kept all my employees employed. It's been a very, very difficult time, very hard times, but thanks to the PPP loans, we've been able to maintain our doors open. With that being said, I want to pass it over to the president of the Los Angeles Chamber of Commerce, Maria Salinas.
Thank you, Cesar. Thank you very much for having us here in your beautiful location at your restaurant. It really is a pleasure to be here with what we really call supporting small businesses. We know that small businesses are what fuels the economy, not only in Los Angeles, but across the state of California and across this country. And the PPP loan that help businesses like Cesar's, we cannot go back. We cannot thank our legislators enough for what they did to bring that relief to businesses like Cesar. And this legislation that is going to be signed here today, this legislation that we want to thank the governor, we want to thank you for what you're going to be doing here today, because you are helping businesses like Cesar and many others that are here in the city of San Fernando and across Los Angeles County that are not only relying on the relief that they received through the PPP loan, but also recognizing that the tax burden that we saw in the differences between the federal and the state, and to know that this state legislature recognized that that needed to be remedied. I want to thank our legislators as well. So it is with that I am very grateful to be here to support the small businesses that are here like yours, and congratulations on this beautiful place. And without any further ado, let me introduce you to the mayor of San Fernando, Sylvia Ballin.
Thank you very much, and I want to welcome everyone to our beautiful city, and I'm just so grateful that I believe this is the first time in the history of the city of San Fernando a governor chose to visit with us, and I thank you very much, Governor. You're a great guy, and I support you 100%. So with that, I support exactly what Maria said. This is such important legislation, and I know it's going to be signed. And thanks to all of our leaders, elected leaders, and I just am really thrilled to be here. So with this, I'm going to introduce our Assemblywoman, Luz Rivas.
Thank you, Mayor Ballin, for your welcoming remarks and for your leadership in guiding San Fernando through this pandemic. Good afternoon. I'm Assemblymember Luz Rivas. Welcome to the 39th Assembly District. This is my home, and I'm excited that this legislation will be signed here. I'm going to transition my remarks in Spanish. I know the rest of my colleagues will be speaking in English, so I'm going to go ahead and do that for our Spanish media. Muchas gracias al alcalde Ballín por darnos la bienvenida aquí a la ciudad de San Fernando. Yo soy la asambleísta Luz Rivas, represento a esta área, esta es mi casa, muy orgullosa de estar aquí con todos, con el gobernador y todos mis colegas para esta legislación muy importante para los negocios pequeños en California. Esta ciudad es conocida por su espíritu emprendedor, la ciudad de San Fernando, y por eso le doy las gracias al gobernador Newsom por facilitar la firma de esta legislación en el centro de mi distrito y por su dedicación en asegurar que las pequeñas empresas de California consigan la ayuda que necesitan y merecen hoy. También quiero agradecer a mi colega, la asambleísta Autumn Burke, por crear esta ley fiscal sensible que nos trae hoy aquí. La legislación AB 80 provee una de las mayores reducciones de impuestos en la historia de nuestro estado para pequeños negocios aquí en mi distrito y por todo California. Con este alivio fiscal, pequeños negocios locales como aquí donde estamos en Hanzo Sushi ya no tienen que preocuparse de cargas fiscales que quizás tuvieran que pagar si aceptaron el préstamo PPP del gobierno federal. Hoy celebramos un gran triunfo para California, la comunidad de pequeños negocios y para todos nosotros que vivimos aquí en el Valle de San Fernando. Gracias, Gobernador Newsom, por su liderazgo en crear un curso para nuestra reapertura estatal, la cual es seguro y sencillo. Muchas gracias. Y ahora quiero presentar a nuestro senador Hertzberg. I'd like to introduce Senator Hertzberg that represents this area.
Thank you, Luz. Myself, Luz Rivas, and Tony Cardenas represent this community with great honor and pride. And I want to thank the Gobernador and all of my friends here, the alcalde, the mayor. Just got a couple of sentences. Cesar, thank you. The bottom line is that this has been a horrible year for most small businesses. Just horrible. Here in our own San Fernando Valley and here in the city of San Fernando and across the state, in many ways, small businesses are the soul of this state. They represent the hopes and the dreams and the sweat and the toil that form the foundation of our California dream. Anybody who's been in small business knows that at the core of who they are. Today, with this new law about to be signed by the great governor of our state, of our great state, the great governor of our great state, passed, and I make this point, with strong bipartisanship, we are taking another critical step among many steps that we have taken to repair some of the damage caused by this overwhelming pandemic. And with that, I want to introduce my dear friend, and if anybody doesn't like the fact that I'm in government, blame him, because he's the one who wrestled me to the ground to come back to government. He was the budget chair when I was speaker, the great, incredible Tony Cardenas.
I'm fully vaccinated, so I'll just take this off while I speak. Thank you, Senator Hertzberg. Thank you for your service, Luz Rivas. It was through the legislature of California that this bill was passed on to the governor of California, that in just a few minutes, he's going to sign into law. But what does a law mean? Every law is different, but this one means that the life and blood of our communities, the employers, small businesses like Caesar's business, where you own your business and you know the names of your employees, you know the names of their children, and you know that if you close those doors, people go hungry. No, I'm not talking about the people who eat the fine sushi in your restaurant. I'm talking about the children and the families that count on small businesses like yours, Caesar, to stay open, to make sure that you fight that fight, that you put in the 50, 60, 70, 80, 90 hours a month, a week, to make sure that you keep your business open. And through this pandemic, it's been the hardest time ever in 100 years for businesses, small and large, to keep their doors open. I'm very, very proud to say that the Rescue Plan Act that we passed within 2 months of the presidency of Joe Biden was the biggest package that we passed to help state governments, local governments, so that we could witness what we're going to witness today. The federal government of California tried as best we could to make whole the state of California, which means that the state of California in this bill is making whole businesses like Caesar's business, to make sure that he doesn't have to give that unfortunate conversation and say, you know what, Maria, you can no longer work here until further notice. You know what, Jose, you're the best sushi person in town, but you can't work here. Those words aren't going to happen here, right, Caesar? Because you got that PPP loan. And now the state of California says that PPP loan is yours. It's part of it's been forgiven, and the state of California is not going to dip into your pocket and take that money away from you, your employees, and your customers. So today, I just wanted to say thank you to the state legislature, and also to say thank you to a governor with a heart, and a governor who knows that what makes this country great, what makes this state great, what makes this city of San Fernando great is the wonderful people who put on their uniform every single day and are proud to hold down a job, who are proud to serve the people in this restaurant. So thank you, Governor Newsom, for the wonderful job that you've done in signing this legislation. Thank you. Welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Congressman. And Caesar, thanks for opening up your business to all of you, and to, I think, family members that are here as well. And Danny, thank you for being here. Madam Mayor, Assemblywoman, thank you very much. Senator, I'll brag on both of you just in a moment. But, pick up on the Congressman's comments. Being a small business person has been probably the most prideful thing I've had the privilege of doing in my life. I started right out of college, opened a small little wine store with one part-time employee, Pat Kelly. She's still with us today. We were able to grow that business to a small restaurant across the street, and eventually I had the privilege of employing close to 1,000 people in the state of California. We built that business from one business to about 23 businesses at peak. I say that not to impress any of you, but to press upon you how powerful the Congressman's words are to me and how resonant they are. People that put everything on the line and take risks should be recognized and should have the opportunity to be rewarded. It is part of what makes not just this state great, but this country great, that entrepreneurial spirit. And I recognize the toll it takes on families, on loved ones, the stress, the anxiety that's 24/7. We talk about the formal 40 to 80 hours a week businessmen and women work, but they're waking up at night with that anxiety around that payroll tax and those quarterly reports and everything else, the labyrinth that is owning a business and dealing with all the forms and all the new rules and regulations that come your way each and every year. And this year has been profoundly challenging. Senator Herberg couldn't have said it better. It's been a hell of a year. The stress, the anxiety, the fear that so many people have had to struggle with over this last year, the pandemic-induced recession, the impact that's had on this economy and the impact that's had on small businesses all up and down this state. That said, the state is coming back. This state is roaring back. 41% of America's jobs came out of the state of California in February. 276,000 jobs have come out of this state in the last 2 months alone. This state is poised for a major comeback. And we're experiencing that comeback because of small business leaders that have persevered, that have worked through, that have, they haven't given up. They haven't rolled over. They worked through this last year. They found ways to get things done, and they found their way to take advantage of these PPP loans, which were determinative, which were profoundly significant in keeping people employed and keeping business operational. That gave us the opportunity to get to the place that we are, where there's not just a light at the end of the tunnel, there is a bright light at the end of the tunnel. The lowest positivity rates in America, the lowest case rates in America. We are vaccinating more people than any state in America, more than any other jurisdiction in the world, all but 5 nations. The state of California is poised for a major comeback. We're seeing the stabilization of these case rates, and we are confident that we will glide into June 15th, and we will remove all the restrictions, all the modifications, and move beyond the blueprint. But we can't spike the ball, and we cannot lose sight of the fact that the most important thing we can do for an economic recovery is to extinguish this disease and get this pandemic behind us, and to continue to remind people that job's not done. 58% is not close to herd immunity. 58% of Californians have had at least one shot. We have more work to do. And we're already seeing, not just in this state, but we're seeing it all across the United States, people are starting to pull back a little bit. We're starting to see large vaccination sites. We're starting to see them with extra reservations. We're starting to see folks that aren't showing up, even for their second shot, or even showing up for their first shot. This disease is not taking off the summer. It's not going away its own. It's as deadly as it's ever been. The only reason we're laying claim to the lowest positivity rates in America is because of the vaccinations and because of the number of people that tragically got COVID-19 and have the antibodies. But that can change. Just ask the folks in India, where they announced mission accomplished a few months ago. And look what's happening in India. And that's why this state was very proud. And thank you to the Assemblywoman, thank you to the Senator for supporting our efforts to send, the only state in America to send direct relief oxygen tanks to India, which we did with the United States government just this week. We're mindful of what happened this last month in Michigan. We're mindful of what's happened and happens as we speak, is happening as we speak up in Oregon and Washington. Oregon, Washington, Colorado, close to double now the number of cases than they had just since March. We cannot spike the ball. We need to be mindful of the moment we are in. But that said, we're here at a moment of inflection as we turn the proverbial page. And I'm going to be honored in a moment to turn the page to the signature page to sign an important piece of legislation supporting our small businesses in this comeback. $6.2 billion. $6.2 billion package that we're signing today of tax relief. $6.2 billion of tax relief for small businesses. This is built on top of the $2.5 billion of small business grants, not loans, grants that the state of California has been distributing. I am of Dee Dee Myers, who's here, runs GoBiz. She reminded me today that 142,000 small businesses have already taken advantage of those grants, have either received them or about to receive those grants. We hope to double that still in the next few months. We're waiving fees, no alcohol beverage control fees for the next 2 years. When you see that, it should say zero, not $1,235. We're going to be waiving startup fees for small businesses. Every business that wants to incorporate, every business that wants to start up in California, that $800 tax for starting a business, we're waiving that as well. We're providing loans in addition to grants. We're waiving fees. We're conforming with federal tax laws, creating tax opportunities in the tune of the $6.2 billion. And I can assure you, we're just getting going, because we're mindful good enough never is. Bob Hertzberg reminds me of that every single day. Luz Rivas reminds me of that every single day, because they're in the community every single day. And they look in the faces of people that are still struggling and still hurting. And by the way, to that end, I'm also proud, and a lot of folks don't know this. A lot of folks do know this. 5.7 million Californians have either received or are about to receive direct stimulus checks from the state of California, not from the federal government. $3.7 billion that we're getting back to the most vulnerable Californians, working families, the working poor. Folks will see that check. They'll see those refunds very, very shortly. Again, all part of a package of supporting recovery and recognizing the stress and the pain of the last year. So I'm here with great expectation, confidence, not just in our recovery, but California's dominant recovery. We're talking about revenge tourism. You're also seeing that reflected in people coming back now into restaurants. We're starting to see that in the revenue in the state. Historic reserves in the state of California. Not many states can lay claim to that. $20+ billion operating surplus. No state in America can lay claim to that. Time magazine came out with a study today of the 64 companies of the top 100 in the world. Half of them are in the state of California. No state comes close. The #1 state in innovation in the Bloomberg Index came out recently. More IPOs this year than we've seen in years. 94+ IPOs in the state of California. All this nonsense about our best days being behind us is just that, nonsense. And it's because, Cesar, it's because Danny, it's because the work the mayor's doing, it's the work of small business men and women all up and down this state that make that possible and keep the dream alive in the state of California. So with that long-winded opening, let me get to why we're here, which is to sign this important piece of legislation. And I just want to thank the Assemblywoman and the Senator for all their hard work. And as the Senator said, bipartisan, unanimous support for this bill. I'm proud of California. That's not said in many states in this day and age, and I'm proud to be able to say it today. And I'm proud to ask the Assemblywoman if you can come up, and Congressman, since you were the one that helped deliver these PPP loans in the first place, to come on so we can get this picture. Danny, you're a beneficiary of this, and Dee Dee, you're the one who made it happen. And Maria, get in here. The incredible LA Chamber, by the way, what a great partner they've been throughout all of this.
I'm not blocking you.
So with that, $6.2 billion. Thank you all. Thank you. With that, my press secretary, Danny, is here to answer any questions. Yeah. So this $6.2 billion will provide tax relief and tax what we refer to as conformity with the federal government to waive any of the burden and costs associated with the PPP loans that many businesses have received from the federal government. So there's no tax consequence in the state of California for small businesses and businesses that experienced revenue loss related to this pandemic. In total, the tax relief package is estimated to be over $6.2 billion over the next number of years. Again, not everyone will file and get that relief immediately. It will be extended over the next number of years. It also includes expenses related to those loans as well. So full conformity in that respect, but again, limited to companies that are not public and limited to companies that experience significant loss associated with this pandemic.
Hi, Governor.
California has the lowest COVID-19 case rate in the country, but as we said, that's not herd immunity. Clearly, some people think it is. There are people that are telling their friends and family, I've waited, I'm going to wait it out. Tell them why they're wrong.
Well, you can't run the 90-yard dash. Ask any Olympian. We're in the fourth quarter of this, and this disease has humbled all of us. It certainly humbled me as governor. When we think we understand it, it throws new challenges at us. Let me just be specific. We're monitoring over 11 variants in California. Today, I had the privilege of being briefed on our genomics work. No state's doing more genomic sequencing of these mutations of the virus in the state of California. Last month, in March, we began the process of sequencing the cases of positive COVID. In California, 52% of those cases were the West Coast variants. 21% were the UK variants. It's almost double where it was a month prior. We're in a race against these variants. One must be mindful of that. And I'm not bringing up the South African, the Brazilian variant. There's an Indian variant. There's a New York variant. There are many other variants that we're monitoring. We're in a race against these variants. And as I said, the disease is not going away. It's not on vacation. It didn't take spring break off 2 weeks ago. It's not going to take the summer off. It's as deadly as it's ever been, and more lives again lost yesterday as there were the day before and the day before that, even in our state. So please, please, if you've thought about getting the vaccine, now's the time to do it. You have real choice. You have a real voice. You have more options than you ever have. Pop-up sites. We're meeting people where they are. Churches. We're bringing them to school sites. We're making sure that it's not just mass vaccination sites. We're knocking on doors. We're doing more to get boots on the ground, quite literally going into communities and offering tests. I cannot impress upon people more. The faster you get vaccinated, faster we collectively get vaccinated, the quicker we get this behind us once and for all.
Governor, Ted Chen from CNBC. One question for you and one question for Mr. Trejo. What would you want to say to small business owners, some of whom drove the recall effort against you that just qualified for the ballot, who might say this is too little, too late, and the damage has already been done? And the question for Mr. Trejo is to comment on the apprehension today of the dog nappers, Lady Gaga, the people who kidnapped Lady Gaga's dogs. Yeah. Could you comment on that, and did you have a hand in that?
I may be better to answer that second question, and my spokesperson the first. But
first of all, I want to say I don't know what the recall is all about, because this guy's been trying to save our lives. Oh, I've been fully vaccinated. This guy's been trying to save our lives since this pandemic started. You know what I mean? People don't understand. We're at war with a virus. Now, if we were at war in London, they were like wearing gas masks. Everybody's wearing gas, and nobody was complaining. You know, and that's what they're trying to get us to do, is wear the gas mask and stay away, stay 6 feet away. And I kind of like it because I don't like people that close to me. But I mean, that's just what it is. It's like stop being silly. You know what I mean? It's like, and as far as, yeah, we were looking for Lady Gaga's. Some people say that because we commented, they brought the dogs back, but I don't know, you know.
Governor?
I don't need security. I'm here.
Governor.
Now we know what's going to lead on the news tonight, so we know our place. But look, I'm very proud of this state. We're the first state to do a stay-at-home order. I think we saved thousands and thousands of lives. We had an impact all across the United States of America. Other states made major and significant investments in doing the same. You're seeing now New York going to reopen in July. We're opening sooner. This state's now coming roaring back. 41% of America's jobs coming out of this state just in February. It's been trying. It's been challenging. We did modifications in order to save lives. It's not only the largest state in America, it's one of the densest states in America. Someone the other day was commenting about Miami's case rates versus LA. They're just an apple and an orange. 7 times the density in LA than cities like Miami. And so I think health directors in this state, local elected officials of all political stripes did a very good, noble job during a very challenging and trying time. And I think the state's economic recovery demonstrably will represent that California's capacity for resilience is second to none.
Hi, Governor. Thanks so much. My name is Tom Waite. I'm with CBS Los Angeles. First question, if you don't mind, I'm going to ask just a two-part or two. No Lady Gaga, but first one is, obviously you're facing a recall. Your poll numbers show that most people don't support the recall, but it's still happening nonetheless. What is your central strategy in dealing with it? And also, I'm sure you're aware there's a number of big city mayors in California asking for billions to help deal with the homeless crisis. Along those lines, will you be able to help? And also, is the strategy that you're employing working, not just you, but across the state? We have advocates here saying more needs to be done to buy tracts of land, put it more temporary housing, do it faster, get people housed. So, yeah.
Yeah, let's talk about doing something fast. California just did something no other state in American history has ever done. We procured over 6,000 housing units in 5.5 months. In escrow, 5.5 months for formerly homeless. 6,000 units project called Home Key. Unprecedented in California's history, American history. So much so the Biden administration is now replicating that program as a national model. And thanks to the congressman, they put $5 billion up to help support that program. We're just getting started. I've been here 26 months. I've just got here. We're just getting started. We put in billions of dollars in investing in homeless solutions. Before I got here, there was no homeless strategy, no comprehensive plan. I took the entire state of the state last year on one topic, homelessness and issues related to homelessness, particularly issues around behavioral health. And so we are committed, not just interested, in supporting the work that the mayors are doing. And we have a strategy and a plan, and you're going to see things, big things happen in that space. As it relates to your previous question, we're going to defeat the recall. We're going to defeat the recall. We're going to focus on getting people back to work. We're going to focus people getting back fully in-person instruction in our schools. We're going to get this economy moving again. And more important than anything else, we're going to get vaccines in people's arms so we can do all of that faster. And that's the answer to the question, what am I doing to address that issue? That's exactly what I'm doing every single day, 24/7, focusing on vaccines, focusing on supporting small businesses, focusing on investing in the kind of energy that we need to invest in the next generation, our kids, and get them educated and address the learning loss of the last year.
Governor Mike Blood with AP. Disneyland opens tomorrow. And as you know, the tourism industry, those businesses that rely on tourism have taken a pretty big hit over the last year. And even with the accelerated reopening, California is still discouraging people from outside the state from coming here right now. I'm just wondering, how do you see that message changing in the near term? And also, I heard you allude to June 15th in your earlier remarks, but I'm just wondering, if we get there and the virus remains in check, do you see us going back to 100% capacity at Disneyland and the other attractions?
Look, if we continue to do what we've done, if we maintain this momentum, we have 317,000 people that got vaccinated in the last 24 hours. If we keep those numbers up, there's no question in my mind that we'll move beyond the blueprint by June 15th. We're 6.5, 7 weeks away from doing that. But we've got to maintain the discipline and that momentum. We can't let up. As it relates to these theme parks reopening, look, the industries that were most impacted by this pandemic, we all know it: entertainment, hospitality, and specifically a lot of restaurants, obviously. In that sector, you saw in those February numbers, vast majority, 100+ thousand of the 140,000 jobs that were created in February were in that sector or in those sectors of the economy. And that's the part of the economy that really is objectively coming roaring back. So we're going to see that. I think it's a flywheel. We're going to see that grow and continue over the course of the next number of months. The overwhelming majority of counties are now in the orange or yellow tier, not even in the restrictive tier any longer. And so more and more opportunity to see more and more activity. As it relates to outside tourism, we're mindful that not every state is doing as well as the state of California. I just noted some of our neighboring states to the north, Oregon, Washington, have seen a doubling. Oregon, not just Washington, but also Colorado. We're mindful of the variants and how challenging this is. So we want to see tourism, but we want people here vaccinated. And so as it relates to theme parks that will be reopening, I'll be down at Universal tomorrow as an example, meeting with their employees. We want to make sure that people that are visiting Universal, Disneyland, that come from out of the state are vaccinated, and we keep everybody safe and we keep this disease at bay.
Yeah, Governor, Margaret Carrero at KNX Radio, thank you for taking all of our questions today. Kind of getting back to the vaccination component, California is going to be getting close to 90,000 doses of J&J next week. There was a review that was done by the LA Times that found that vaccination rates in the state have slowed down during the pause. Do you think that the two are related, or we've just gotten to that point where everybody who really wants a shot has gotten one? And how worried are you about that, especially moving closer to June 15th?
Yeah, I mean, we anticipated this. Not only have we anticipated this, we prepared for it. What I mean by that is next week you'll be seeing a series of initiatives as we shift and address the issue of hesitancy. We address not just the supply constraints, which have been significant up until about a week or two ago, but now demand issues that have to be addressed. And you'll see that in terms of our outreach, our approach, the cultural competency of our in-language outreach, the efforts we'll work to advance with community-based organizations, quite literally knocking on doors. That's why I talk about boots on the ground, different strategies to address hesitancy and unwillingness to get the vaccines. J&J did not help, one has to be honest and sober about that. I took the J&J vaccine, one and done, no side effects, spectacular. Didi did as well. And we were among the 7 million people that took it, overwhelmingly safe. And the data and the evidence bears that out. There were extreme exceptions of some incidences. As it relates to the mRNA, as it relates to the vaccines of Moderna and Pfizer, they haven't had those type of side effects, and we encourage people to access those vaccines. But if you choose to do what I did, and millions and millions of others to get the J&J, we want to make those available as well. The benefit of the J&J is the storage limitations are not as problematic for the J&J vaccine. We could truly deliver those to folks out in communities, out in under freeways and overpasses, quite literally going to people's doors, delivering that vaccine and that life-saving support. But look, we've seen a modest decline, not as significant as other parts of the state, but within the state, the numbers tell a more interesting story. And I encourage you, members of the press, to take a look at that. California, again, is the 5th largest economy, but it's the largest state in America. It's the size of 26 states combined, or 21, forgive me, states combined. So in many respects, it's a state that should be studied in terms of hesitancy. And you'll see some of the rural constructs, you'll see some of the ideological constructs taking shape here, where you're seeing more of a diminution of demand in certain parts of the state versus other parts of the state. And so we're mindful of that. We want to offset that as well. But look, 2.5, almost 2.55 million doses in the last 7 days. Our peak was 3 million, but that was an extreme peak. We've been about 2.75. Now we're at 2.55. So it's modest decline, but I like 2.5 million a week. We got to keep, if we can keep those numbers, do the math. We're close to 30 million doses that have been administered, over 29 million as I speak, 10 plus million more than any other state. We keep at this, we'll get to June 15th.
Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, everybody. All right.